Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.
G'day, Starlo here. A year or so back I did a series of podcasts and videos called my Tuesday YAK chats, where I just get out on the water in my kayak and talk about various subjects, make a video and a podcast about it. People really seem to enjoy it, but I just ran out of time to do them, having to shoot them and then edit them on top of all the other content that I'm creating. It was just a little bit too much, but with winter rolling on again, I thought, you know what, I might rev it up again and do some more of the YAK chats. So this is the first one of the new series for the winter of 2026, and I hope you enjoy it. If you do, let me know, and I'll keep doing them whenever and wherever I can. I'm on Lake Buffalo at the moment, which is in the high country of Victoria, and as you can see, it's an absolutely glorious day. Beginning of May, but it's climbing towards 22 or 23 degrees today. It actually feels a lot more than that in the direct sunlight. I've got plenty of sunscreen on even at this time of the year. It's an interesting time at the moment. We've got the on-again, off-again war in the Middle East happening. Ooh, that was a log. And because of that, oil prices have skyrocketed and fuel prices have gone absolutely crazy here in Australia. I was paying well over $3 a litre for diesel not that long ago. It's dropped back under the $3 mark at the moment, but it's still really, really expensive. And I mean, we're all under pressure financially these days. I'm 60, coming up to 68. I'll be 68 by the time you see this one. And I'm still paying off my house. It doesn't help when interest rates go up. We all have to think about budgeting, and fuel becomes a really important part of that. So it tends to make us, I think, more inclined to fish locally when it gets really expensive like that. And that's a really good way to look at it. You don't have to travel as far to catch fish. I'll just make sure that lure didn't pick up any weed when it banged that log back there. And there's lots of other ways we can save money too. I mean, if you're a bait fisher, by catching and gathering your own bait, that can be really helpful. The other thing too is that you don't have to spend a fortune on gear. I mean, people see me using this beautiful Shimano gear, and some of it's quite expensive, although I do tend to shy away from the really super expensive stuff these days. I don't think you need to run Stellas and things unless you've got the budget for it and you're a super keen angler. But I tend to go more for the mid-range stuff from the Shimano range these days. And in case you're wondering how that works, I mean, obviously I'm a sponsored angler, sponsored by Shimano, and people think, oh, well, he gets given heaps of gear. Well, I do, but on a loan and return basis. I get to use this gear for a year, 18 months, sometimes 2 years, and then I give it back and it gets passed on to someone else or sold second-hand or whatever. I don't get to own this gear. That works for me and it works for Shimano because it means that I'm always using their latest gear rather than older stuff, and I can talk about it. But don't get the idea that by being a sponsored angler, and I've been with Shimano for 35 years or more now, they don't just give you truckloads of gear. I think a lot of the young anglers these days think that. Doesn't work that way. Consumables, things like line and lures and stuff, yeah. I have an annual budget for those things, and they do give me a reasonable amount of stuff to keep me fishing. But that's how it works. So I thought I'd probably just needed to explain that. But talking about gear, and I've said this before, I don't think we've ever lived at a time when fishing tackle has been more affordable in terms of the bang that you get for your buck than it is right now. I've written and talked about this, but the very first reel that I ever bought, it was after I had my first article published. When I was in my last year of high school, I wrote an article for Fishing World magazine, sent it in, waited a couple of months, and got a response, and they used it. And they published it, and I got paid $50. This was 1975, 76. I sent the article in 75, it got used early in 76. So I got a check for $50, and I thought, it was pretty good. Well, I used that $50 to buy myself a reel. I was doing a lot of spinning off the rocks at the time, high-speed spinning for tuna and kingies and things like that. And I bought one of those big Mitchell 499 spinning reels, ones with the manual pickup. Cost me $49.95, so it took my whole $50 that I'd earned for writing that article, and I thought that was pretty good. At the time, my old man, who was a senior constable in the police force at the time, I think after tax he was bringing home just over $100 a week. So that sort of puts it in perspective. That reel cost about half an average wage earner's weekly wage at the time. Put that in today's terms and it suddenly takes on a bit of a different perspective, doesn't it? You can buy a pretty flash reel for half an average weekly wage these days. Certainly it'd be a lot better reel than that old Mitchell 499, which, to be honest, was a fairly agricultural bit of gear. So we don't have to spend a fortune to get into fishing. You can buy a really nice spinning reel, light rod, spool of line, get out of the whole thing for $150. That's pretty good value, I reckon, compared to a lot of sports and other things that we do these days. And when you think about what you get back from your fishing and how important it is to your mental health and everything else, I think it's fairly justifiable to be able to spend that sort of money. So, yeah, by all means, try and cut corners and save when we're in these tough times like we are at the moment. But don't get the idea that gear's more expensive than it's ever been. I actually think that in real terms, it's probably cheaper than it's ever been in terms of what you actually get. All right, I'm going to push on down along this bank, find myself a deeper stretch, put the sunnies back on, because I tell you what, that sun has got some sting to it. I'll get this deep diver out. And I'll get my little redfin plastic out there. Cover the bases. Well, as you can see, I'm off the water now, back in the car and heading home from Lake Buffalo. It was a reasonably challenging day on the water. I caught some small redfin, but I just didn't find the Murray cod that I was really hoping for, and that's Murray cod fishing. More often than not, I miss out. But I don't mind. They're a great fish and I don't mind putting in the time to catch one. Just to recap what I was saying, the money that we spend on fishing, I think it's a little bit more than discretionary spending. I think it's really important for our mental health and our well-being for a lot of us that we actually go fishing. And I think we need to factor that in when we're thinking about spending money on fishing tackle. But I also want to stress what I said before. Don't feel like you've got to spend a fortune to have the absolute top of the line gear. The mid-range stuff these days is so much better than it was when I was young. And you're not disadvantaged at all in going for that mid-range gear. I'd steer clear of the really cheap and nasty stuff. Some of the sort of supermarket chain store combos and not all that flash. They'll probably work fine the first couple of times you go fishing with them, but they're not going to last very long. And because of the way those cheaper reels lay the line on the spool, you're more likely to get tangled, especially if you use braid. So, I would steer clear of the really cheap stuff. But like I said, for $120, $150, $200, up to sort of $300, you can buy a really good rod, reel, spool of line combo and get into your fishing. And that actually compares very favourably with a lot of other sports. So don't feel disadvantaged and, value your mental health and your well-being and spend the money on some gear that you'll enjoy using and go and catch some fish. It's just a wonderful thing to do with your leisure time. You might even get to bring the occasional feed of fish home for yourself and the family. Don't ever fall into the trap of thinking that you're going to save money that way, though, because really, if you add it all up, no matter how many meals of fish you bring home, you're probably behind the game as far as dollars goes. But it is a nice bonus to be able to eat wild caught fish. And I'm looking forward to cooking up those redfin when I get home. I'll fillet them up, skin them, Probably just do them in egg and breadcrumbs or dust them in a bit of flour, pan fry them in a bit of butter. I really do enjoy a feed of fresh redfin, one of my favourite fish out of the freshwater to eat. And I mean, the other thing we need to consider is reducing our spending on unnecessary items, I guess. One of the things we all want to do is reduce how much tax we pay. And having a good accountancy firm on your side is a big part of getting that right. I got on board with CM Partners well over a year ago now, and they've been doing our accounting since then and our tax returns and everything else, and they're just fantastic to deal with, and they're a real supporter of my YouTube channel and of these podcasts, CM Partners. I really appreciate the support they give me, and if you've been thinking about getting an accountancy firm for the first time, or if you're not happy with your current one and you're looking to change, I would strongly recommend checking out CM Partners. I'll put the link down below, and if you use my link, they'll give you a free consultation, and there might be a few other lurks and perks as well. Check it out. It's in the links down below. I hope you enjoy this year's series of Tuesday chats. Some of them are going to come to you from the kayak. Some of them will come to you from the car, like I'm finishing this one up. Sometimes I'll be on a riverbank. Sometimes I'll be in the boat. Let me know if there's any topics that you'd like me to tackle this year. If you're listening to this as a podcast, realise that it's also available as a video on my Starlo Gets Real YouTube channel. If you want to see it visually as well as listen to it. I know a lot of people like just listening to the podcasts when they're driving or commuting to work on public transport or whatever, and podcasts are fantastic from that point of view. I really enjoy doing them. I'm glad you enjoy listening to them. Give me some feedback. Tell me what you'd like me to cover. And until next time, this is Starlo wishing you tight lines.
Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.